Do we have anyone from the public with us?
No, we do not.
Got it. Moving
Got
on to number 3, approval of prior minutes, June 2nd, 2025. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I can
Sure, I'll
second.
second. Nope.
Nope.
Let Amanda do it.
I think Amanda snuck in.
I snuck it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Unanimous. Old business, none. Moving on to new business. Justin, architect's report.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the building committee. So more of the same from the last report that we had given. We've continued in the last 2 weeks. We have punch listed the exterior, punch listed the upper floor, and we're back on Thursday to punch list the remainder of the building. So we'll have 3 people in the field on Thursday. Continuing to react to some of these, as Adam likes to say, last mile things that may come up in a building official walkthrough or fire marshal walkthrough. So keeping close communication with Gilbane and the project team as these things come up. As Adam had mentioned in his communication late last week, we have been going through some of the testing and building envelope commissioning. Very good results for our air blower door test, which it measures the tightness of the building envelope. In other words, it tests air leakage. Basically, you put negative pressure on one side of an exterior door, you measure the air leakage from your building, and that gives you an understanding of how our building envelope is performing for air transmission. So the good news is that we far exceeded the standards that we were anticipating, and in fact below the passive house standard for building envelope tightness. So that's one of the things that, as we go through the energy modeling and design, helps contribute to our low EUI or energy use intensity for the building. So we feel confident in the building's tightness as it's been designed and as it's been constructed by Gilbane and their subcontractors. In other news, we will be in the coming weeks helping to facilitate the FF&E delivery. So we'll have 2 other folks from our office, Catherine Meese and Nicole Tatro, who some of you may have familiarity with from some of our last presentations, and certainly if you were involved in some of the FF&E discussions. They'll be on site periodically between us and Colliers to help facilitate those vendors as they require access to the building, as well as they deliver and install the FF&E. So that's something that's going to start in the next couple of weeks and likely go through mid to late July by the time everything is installed. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the building committee has. And all good news, all trending in the right direction here.
Any questions for Justin?
Pretty happy with that number, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Just thank God for the DOAS units.
Right.
There'd be no oxygen.
So hearing no further questions, move it on to construction manager.
Sharing my screen now. Good evening, everybody. Starting off with just some interior updates from the building and work our way to the exterior. As Justin mentioned, we're currently right now working with the AHJs, the fire department, and the building department just to finalize some additional items that need to be addressed prior to C of O being granted from the town. So right now you can see a view of the center of the building overlooking the cafeteria and then also the media center. So the central stair railings are substantially complete at this time. If you recall, these were the railings that we were waiting quite some time with an extended lead time. They're finally on site and installed here in the center of the building. Day 2 work is also ongoing right now. So we're taking care of additional items such as data and power revisions for the FF&E folk prior to them getting started next week on Monday. Final cleaning throughout the main level is substantially complete at this time. We actually began waxing the VCT in the west wing today, preparing for FF&E next week. So the main level and lower level of the entire building will be fully waxed prior to Monday next week when FF&E kicks off. Additionally, inside the building right now, we're working through final testing and integration for our PA system, our fire alarm system, security, and other technology. Omnidata has been on site constantly over the past 2 weeks just to continue working on the final integrations with all the different technology in both the MDF and the IDF. Punch list items that were recently distributed to Gilbane from Tecton last week are actively being addressed throughout the main level, with the balance of those items going to be distributed to our subcontractors next week. And then lastly, on the main level, you can see right here, this is a typical classroom that we have, pretty much completed outside of a few tiles that were left out on purpose as we complete final testing and balancing, and then also connections for some of our wireless access points up above. But transitioning to the exterior of the site, here we have a recent drone image from this past Friday. As you can see, all of our site striping, all of our sod is installed with the exception of the east field. The east field will be working on getting the sod installed this week, along with finalizing the amendments over here on the east. But around substantially the remainder of the building, all of our hay mats and seating has been completed, sod installed, blacktop down, line striping complete, and plantings are in the ground, which is excellent. Doing better than our anticipated schedule, which brought a lot of the landscaping, not a lot, but a decent amount into the fall. So we were able to beat that. Additionally, with the site, all of the mulch or Bulletin 50 was completed at the 5 islands here on the south side of the campus. So that was taken care of as well. And then lastly, the bigger item that we have on the outside of the building is the fill vault up here at the northeast portion of the site. A couple of the solenoid valves that we currently have need to be swapped out with UL listed valves. So that swap is going to be happening later this week, and we should have that completed by end of day Saturday. So chugging along right now, working on punch lists inside, outside the building, and just getting a nice closure to an awesome project down here at Madison. Any questions pertaining to the construction update?
The playground equipment, what's the schedule for the
playground vendor?
I'll do that.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
oh,
I'll give that in my update in a second.
okay, got it.
Can I ask what's going to be the young kids playground out in the front of the building along Mungertown Road? I know that there's a berm there to protect the view of the kids from the road. I thought there was going to be like more of a screening type tree plantings, and it looks like they're a little bit sparse compared to a screen. Did that plan change, or did I just not understand the plan?
So originally we did have the existing trees that were along Mungertown Road. However, as we cut in the bituminous walk for alternate 4, and then the tree warden came out, we did damage a decent amount of the roots for the existing trees, along with the utilities that were brought to the new site pole over here for the telecommunications. So after further review of all the trees along this line, the tree warden directed us to take them down because it was a matter of time before they died, just from the impacts from utilities, the bituminous walkway, and then also the septic field that was completed and installed in the same area. So some of those trees were meant to stay. However, unfortunately, we had to remove them.
Yeah, and I do remember that the group voted to remove those trees. I just thought that there would be more new evergreen plantings along the top ridge of that berm, but I don't, maybe not.
I think the berm is pretty tall. I don't know, Seth, the last time you drove down there. I mean the berm is a lot taller than I anticipated. So it's
Yeah, really, I think it is hard to see the kids from the road just on
yeah,
that
I think
basis.
I think the berm alone will. I mean, the trees will grow in.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. It's just for some reason I thought it was going to be like a screen, but it's it's not that big a deal given that there's a berm there. So
Yeah, I mean, I think over time, obviously, the trees will fill in, but
yeah.
oh yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Looks great.
It does look great.
Man,
On the screen now, it's just a quick overlay. So here was our drone flight from middle of May on the 16th. And then as I pan over, you can see the update after less than a month of site improvements outside. So quite the difference in less than 30 days here on site.
Excellent. Any other questions for Zach, or are we ready to go to Adam? Hearing none, we'll move over to Adam.
Very good. Good evening, everyone. Just to address that playground question up first. So we have an item in procurement coming later to confirm some of the scope that was coordinated with the playground installer in terms of sub base. However, in terms of schedule, we did confirm that they'll be coming out later this week, Thursday, to start doing their layouts. So that's ahead of when we originally had anticipated, which would be July 1st start date. So just trying to get them in early to get ahead of any potential, major weather issues or things of that nature. So that's good to hear. But otherwise, the intention is that they are done with the installation by August 8th. And so inspections would follow thereafter, and any other punch list items as need be. So that's the overall schedule. And so we hope to see soon in the next week or two, the playgrounds actually start to be installed with foundations and footings and that kind of thing leading into the actual equipment. So good news there for the playgrounds. In terms of the approvals that Zach and Justin were talking about, as you can see, the building, for all intents and purposes, looks about done. So in addition to just punch listing, it is just a matter of these code related issues to finalize their certificate of occupancy. One component of it that is nearing completion, zoning has indicated that they basically are all set. So there was some documents and communication sent back to zoning late last week. So that should be all set in terms of the exterior planning and zoning component of the building as it leads to certificate of occupancy. The other item, as Justin alluded to, lots of coordination on all the various vendors that we've been approving, procurement items for, change orders for, etc., for the past 6 months or so. So making sure that the movers are coming in and not stepping all over the toes of the furniture vendors, sequencing the furniture vendors such that we're, like I think I mentioned a couple of meetings ago, put down the rugs first and then the desks, not the other way around, all that good stuff. And coordinating just to maximize coverage on site between Tecton and Colliers and making sure it's a smooth installation process, and working with Gilbane, obviously, because there will be some punch list items that are I'm sure need to be cleaned up as the furniture and AV and IT vendors do their work. So knowing what's left outstanding, if a mover or a furniture vendor comes in and dings a wall, we know it's them and not something that was on the punch list to be solved. So lots of just emails and what day you're coming out and all that kind of stuff going on between Colliers and Tecton and Gilbane right now. And like I said, all the other vendors. With that, a lot of people with nose to the grindstone at this point just to get this buttoned up. So happy to answer any questions, but it really is the thrust of it right now.
Any questions for Adam? We're flying through this meeting. We're gonna set a record here if we're not careful. Moving on to item number 5, review and potential award procurement items.
I'll share my screen for the next 2 items. There's no vote for procurement tonight, but there is a follow-up item on something that was discussed at our last meeting, which was the expedited approval through Peter and George of a change order to our playground vendor. This is the item I had mentioned earlier in the meeting. This effectively, there were 2 options to resolve some scope gap between, how do we address the subgrade that the subcontractor for site and civil through Gilbane owns versus the subgrade for the actual rubber surfacing through ProBuild. Ultimately, what was approved was a change order to increase the amount of rubber thicknessing, rather than have the subgrade undulate and try to get precise sometimes within a half inch in various areas, to minimize the amount of subgrade material of that more costly rubber surface. Instead, the approval was for just making that rubber surface the same thickness throughout, which leads to it being perhaps more than is needed in some areas, but that will help provide a little extra cushion if someone were to fall in those areas anyway. So the other component was this selection was made also to consider schedule, just because it is more expeditious to just pour a consistent thickness rather than to have someone come out, fine tune the grading, then come back and pour thicknessing throughout. So again, no action for the committee tonight, but just reporting back on this approval to ProBuild for 72,000 for increasing the thickness of the rubber on all 3 playgrounds. Any questions on that before move on to the invoice packet? Okay. Monthly invoice packet for this evening includes an item. Actually, I misspoke. There is a small item that was on procurement related to this this first item for Bon Giovanni Group. There was a portion of the playground scope that needed a new benchmark installed on the site. Just a little bit of surveying that was separately coordinated with Bon Giovanni Group for the $600 in the invoice packet you see. That's not something we have an existing purchase order for. So I do have, if you see in your motions, there is a draft motion to basically create a PO for $600 to then pay this invoice to install this benchmark, so that way they can locate the 0-0 origin point for the playground, so that way the playgrounds person can come in and lay out all their footings, which they do own. It was just that handoff piece. So I do have a motion drafted for that, but I want to pause there before answer any questions on that if you have any.
Nope. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'd like to make a motion to award playground surveying services to Bon Giovanni Group, Inc. in the amount of $600.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Woody. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Perfect. Thank you. All right, back to the invoice packet. So that aforementioned $600 from Bon Giovanni. The monthly invoice packet from our commissioning agent, BVH, and the final invoice from BVH for their separate testing services. This was for the actual blower door test that we just talked about. Presidio, our IT vendor for the server that was received and is being installed by Omnidata. Tecton's monthly invoice, probably the second to last wave of materials testing from Tri-State for all the various site work, concrete and subgrade tests below the various sidewalks that have been going on. The kitchen pans that were approved a while back, those were finally ordered and being delivered. And then Gilbane's invoice number, or requisition number 15, just over 3.2 million on that, for a total of just a little over 3.3 million. Questions on the invoice packet?
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll do it. I'd like to make a motion to approve invoice package dated 6/16/2025, including invoices from Bon Giovanni, BVH, Presidio, Tecton, and Tri-State in the amount of $71,684.97, and construction payment requisition 15 from Gilbane in the amount of $3,277,750.45 for a total approval of $3,349,435.42.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you, so.
Moving on to item number 7, public comment. I'd be surprised, but does anyone have their hand raised, Raquel?
No.
Got it.
Graham?
Yep.
I just want to chime in again, like I do at most meetings, to say how amazed I am at how this is going along. I know I missed a couple meetings, so there was a jump in productivity since I last attended. Man, it is looking fantastic, and it's on time, and I know the Board of Ed couldn't be happier. So thank you.
Got it. Don't jinx us now, Seth.
Yeah.
I was just going to chime in with some bad news.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kidding. Just
Yeah.
kidding. Thank you.
Exactly. So moving on to additional remarks. Oh, I think I think there's going to be a small ceremony coming up in August. Do we know the date of that so people can get on their calendars just to make sure? Adam, you have
Is it the 19th or?
The 19th, I thought, was the last date I saw.
Yeah, that also rings true. I was just about searching my emails for that now. I don't know that it was
The 19th.
formally formed.
19th at 3
3 to 4
o'clock.
p.m. Yeah,
Yeah.
3 to 4 p.m.
Yes.
and that's just a small, intimate gathering of 100 close friends as opposed to public, right? Excellent. Okay. Any other remarks? Anyone have any other comments?
I would just add that we do have the next meeting on the 7th, which is a 3-week gap, just because we usually get in these 2-week cadences, but June and July are longer months. So just want to put that out there.
Got it. Okay. So that's a good point. With that, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
See you
Okay.
later.
Couple weeks.
Thank you.